price, obviously, so what we're able to do without sort of maxing ourselves out too much. But I think for us, we didn't want to upsize to a point where we were going to be in a house that was so big that we would have to move when Alfie grows up. So for us, I know a lot of people tend to upsize for the kids and then maybe downsize at a later date. But for us, we want to upsize, but not too much that we're going to then, when it's just us, have to downsize. We want somewhere that's going to be big enough for a family, but also not too big just for me and Ash when we're older.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, obviously having like weekly budgets and stuff like that, so working out your finances on how to kind of what to live by to enable you to save, to upsize. But I think when you've been in your first property, like we've been quite lucky, we've had our first property, so we've paid off a little bit of the mortgage. It gives us that little bit extra to put towards a deposit for a bigger house. But yeah, just being sensible. We've had to kind of cut back on holidays and stuff the last 2 years to be able to save for that bigger deposit on a bigger house. But yeah. So I know Ian, who's the sales manager here.
Yeah.
And he's just really great. He's not, I wouldn't say he's like a typical estate agent. He almost feels like a friend. So I feel like I had so much trust in him. It wasn't just him selling my house. It was him working out what was going to be best for us in the next house that we find, and also kind of taking into account not just what we want price wise for our house, but what sort of buyers we want for our house. So we're really lucky we've got some first time buyers lined up for our house, which I think is really nice, and they're happy to wait a little bit if we don't find our house straight away. So kind of taking everything into account, I just had a lot of trust in him, and he's been really great at keeping me informed. So I kind of went with Clever mostly for Ian, really, and it's proven right. So I'm glad I did that.
I love that.
Obviously, if you upsize and you end up with a bigger house, it's probably going to be worth more in the future if you decide to sell it. But one of the biggest I think benefits for us for upsizing is just having that space. So having a guest room if we've got family to stay. It's, buying a property is an investment, and if the property is that little bit bigger and worth that little bit more money, then I think that's only going to be a benefit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Try not to be so indecisive. Be brave, because I'm really indecisive. Luckily, I've got Ash, and he's like, let's just do it, and he is right. And also, I think don't go too big. Kind of, get those tick boxes of what's important to you, and just go for it. Yeah, I mean, if it's something that you can do to be able to buy a house, it's really great. We feel really lucky. So, use Clever.